Most people do not fail because they are lazy. They fail because they are scattered. They answer emails, sit in meetings, chase goals, start projects, switch tabs, make plans, and still end the day wondering, why did I work so hard and move so little? Gary Keller and Jay Papasan's The One Thing gives a simple answer. Extraordinary results come from narrowing your attention until only the most important next move remains. This is not a book about doing everything faster. It is a book about doing fewer things with more force. The central idea is this: success is not built by equal effort in every direction. Success is built when you identify the activity that makes everything else easier, unnecessary, or less urgent, and then protect that activity from the noise. The book begins with the domino effect. A single domino can knock over another domino about 50% larger than itself. Line up the right sequence, and a small action can create a chain reaction. That is how meaningful progress often works. You do not need to push every domino at once. You need to find the first right one. This is the opposite of how most people live. We treat our to-do list as if every task deserves the same weight. We cross off easy tasks because they feel productive. We answer quick messages because they provide a tiny reward. But activity is not achievement. A checkbox is not the same as a changed life. The One Thing argues that the real skill is priority, not priorities, plural, as if 10 things can all be most important. Priority means the one thing that comes before the others. Keller and Papasan challenge several common myths. The first is that everything matters equally. It does not. In almost every area, a small number of actions create most of the results. One relationship can change a career. One habit can change health. One product can change a business. One conversation can change a family. The second myth is multitasking. We like to imagine that multitasking makes us efficient, but most of the time it means attention switching. Every switch has a cost. You lose focus, lose depth, and lose the thread of what you were building. The more important the work, the more expensive the interruption. The third myth is that discipline must be endless. The book makes a useful distinction. You do not need discipline for everything forever. You need enough discipline to build a habit, and then the habit carries part of the load. A strong routine reduces the need for constant willpower. That matters because willpower is not always available. We often plan as if our future self will be calm, energized, and heroic. Then real life arrives. We get tired. We get hungry. We get distracted. If your most important work is always saved for the leftover part of the day, it will often lose. The practical answer is to place your one thing where your best energy is. Do it early. Do it before the world gets a vote. Protect it like an appointment with your future. Another powerful idea in the book is that balance is often misunderstood. A balanced life does not mean every area gets equal time every day. Important seasons require imbalance. Building a company, raising a child, healing your body, learning a skill, or finishing a major project may require intense focus for a period of time. The danger is not imbalance itself. The danger is forgetting what you are neglecting. Keller and Papasan suggest counterbalancing. When work demands more, consciously return to life. When one area gets heavy, deliberately restore the others. You are not trying to keep every plate perfectly level. You are trying not to let the important ones fall and break. At the heart of the book is the focusing question: what is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? That question works because it forces clarity. It does not ask, what could I do? It does not ask, what should I maybe try someday? It asks for the highest leverage next action. If your goal is better health, the answer might be sleeping 7.5 hours, planning meals, or walking every morning. If your goal is a stronger business, it might be improving your offer, calling your best customers, or hiring one key person. If your goal is a better relationship, it might be one honest conversation you have been avoiding. The answer changes by context, but the method stays the same. Ask the question. Choose the leverage point. Act on it before lower value work fills the day. The book also connects focus to purpose, priority, and productivity. Purpose gives direction. Priority chooses the next most important step. Productivity is what happens when time is actually blocked for that step. This is where many people fail. They have a goal, but no protected time. They have ambition, but no calendar evidence. The One Thing is direct about this. If something matters, it needs time blocked for it. Not vague intention. not hope. Time. Time blocking means making an appointment with your most important work and treating it as seriously as a meeting with someone else. During that block, the goal is not to be available. The goal is to make progress. Of course, the world will resist this. Other people will have requests. Your phone will offer distractions. Small tasks will pretend to be urgent. That is why the book emphasizes saying no. Every yes is a trade. If you say yes to enough minor things, you quietly say no to the major thing. One of the most useful lessons is that big results do not require a complicated life. They require honest subtraction. What can you stop doing? What can wait? What can be delegated? What looks productive but does not matter? The book's title can sound almost too simple, but that is the point. Complexity often hides avoidance. When you reduce your life to the next high-leverage action, you remove excuses. You know what matters. Now you have to do it. For a creator, the one thing might be writing before checking analytics. For an entrepreneur, it might be sales before operations. For a student, it might be deep study before highlighting notes. For a parent, it might be undistracted time before household perfection. The question is personal, but the pattern is universal. Success compounds when your best time goes to your best target. There is also a quiet emotional lesson here. Many people are overwhelmed not because their life is impossible, but because everything is mentally open at once. Focus is relief. Choosing one important action gives the mind a place to land. So here is a practical way to use the book today. First, choose one area of life where you want better results. Work, health, money, learning, relationships, or personal peace. Second, write the focusing question for that area. What is the one thing I can do that would make everything else easier or unnecessary? Third, do not accept your first lazy answer. Keep asking until you find the action that feels both uncomfortable and obviously important. Fourth, block time for it tomorrow. Make the block specific. Decide when it starts, where you will be, and what distraction you will remove. Fifth, repeat. The power is not in asking once. The power is in building a habit of returning to the thing that matters most. The one thing is not telling you to care about only one thing in life. It is telling you that in any meaningful moment, one thing usually deserves the next best hour. If you can find that thing, protect it, and act on it consistently, progress stops depending on motivation and starts depending on design. The message is simple. Do less random work. Do more of the work that changes the game. Because the life you want may not require 1,000 new actions. It may require one important action, done with unusual consistency. The book also warns against confusing big goals with vague wishes. A big goal becomes useful only when it is connected to a next action. Wanting to write a book is inspiring, but writing 500 words tomorrow morning is actionable. Wanting financial freedom is inspiring, but reviewing spending, building one skill, or making one offer is actionable. Focus turns desire into behavior. Another helpful distinction is between the goal and the lead measure. The goal may be to grow a channel, get healthier, build a business, or improve a relationship. But the lead measure is the action you can control today. You cannot directly control whether a video goes viral, whether the scale moves tomorrow, or whether a market responds immediately. You can control whether you publish, train, call, practice, write, listen, and follow through. That is why the one thing is so practical. It brings attention back to the controllable lever. Many people lose energy because they stare at the final result too long. The book pushes you to ask, what behavior, repeated consistently, would make that result more likely? There is also a lesson about courage. The one thing is often not the easiest task. It is usually the task with the most emotional resistance. It may require a difficult conversation, a clear decision, a period of boredom, or a temporary loss of comfort. Low-value tasks are attractive because they let us feel busy without facing risk. High-value tasks often feel heavier because they can actually change something. So when you ask the focusing question, pay attention to the answer you want to avoid. The task you keep postponing may be the one with the most leverage. The book's advice also applies to learning. Instead of collecting endless information, ask, what is the one idea I need to understand deeply? What is the one skill I need to practice? What is the one mistake I keep repeating? This changes learning from passive consumption into deliberate improvement. For teams, the same principle is even more powerful. A team with 10 competing priorities creates confusion. A team with one clearly named priority creates alignment. People know what to protect, what to postpone, and what success looks like. Focus is not only personal productivity. It is a leadership tool. But focus requires trade-offs. This is the part most people resist. You cannot make one thing matter most without making other things matter less for now. That does not mean those things are worthless. It means they are not the next domino. The deeper promise of the one thing is not that life becomes easy. It is that life becomes clearer. You still have problems, responsibilities, and distractions. But you also have a way to return to center. When the day gets noisy, ask the question again. When your calendar fills up, ask it again. When you feel behind, ask it again. The answer may not solve everything immediately, but it will show you where to put your next serious effort. If you enjoyed this summary, subscribe to One Book in 10 Minutes. We turn the world's most valuable books into clear, practical lessons you can use in real life. One book, 10 minutes. Better you.